Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the award-winning podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm the award-winning Sam Schultz.
And
I didn't actually win an award of my own, but...
You kind of did. We won an award, Sam.
Yeah.
And this week we are back in Fraggle Rock to discuss the episodes that aired in March of 1983. And those are episodes 9 through 12 of Season 1, entitled The Lost Treasure of the Fraggles, Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk, Catch the Tail by the Tiger, and The Finger of Light. But first, we should probably address the boasting we were doing at the beginning of this podcast. I will never again call us the award-winning podcast, by the way. That's a one-off.
You should put it on our iTunes art.
Just like a little blue ribbon in the corner.
Laurels. Like when a movie wins like the Palme d'Or, you know, and it has little. That would be
Official
really funny,
selection
actually.
of the Muppet Twitter Awards.
Yeah.
We get like a little Oprah's Book Club sticker in the corner of our podcast art.
Oprah, hit us up. Come on.
Yeah,
We'll write a book for you.
We won the Oprah's Muppet Twitter Awards award. We're Oprah's favorite Muppet podcast. Prove us wrong, Oprah.
Yeah, come on the show.
Well, yes, we did allude to the fact that we won an award of some kind. And for those of you who may not know, recently the Muppet Twitter Awards happened, which is a awards show run by and organized by Tori from the Muppets No Context Twitter account. And this is the second year of it happening. Last year, we didn't win anything. So I don't think we might have mentioned it on the show, probably.
I think we did because I was murdered, remember?
Oh, yes, you were murdered by
we talked
Gonzo.
about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true. So yeah, last year, very kindly, we were nominated for a few, but unfortunately did not win. This year, we were nominated for a couple more, and surprisingly to us, we won for Best Muppet-Themed Podcast. The last award of the night.
Thrill of my life.
Wild. Truly wild. But yeah, thanks to everyone who voted for us, for voting for us, and for enjoying this podcast, presumably.
They hate voted for us.
Yeah, I'll take it. The odds of like winning this thing multiple years in a row is probably pretty slim, so we got to enjoy this one for the next year. We are the reigning champions of the Muppet Twitter Awards.
If we get Oprah on, though, I have a good feeling about our chances next year.
And Oprah, you might even win Best Guest on a Muppet podcast, so there's that on the table.
You won everything else.
Yeah, you probably got an EGOT. You probably don't have the Muppet Twitter Award, though, so got to add that one to your shelf. Are you looking up if Oprah has an EGOT?
Yeah.
I don't know if she's ever done Broadway, so she might be missing a Tony.
She's got 3 awards.
Just 3?
So, well, EGOT's only 4.
Oh, I thought you meant she only got like 3 ever. Like,
no.
I was like, she's probably got like 40 Emmys.
I feel like she's probably got like a Peabody Award or something. You know?
The
like
Kennedy Center honors and all those things. Yeah.
She's got an Emmy, a Tony, and an Academy Award. So
wait, she has a Tony?
She's got a Tony, yeah. A competitive Tony even, not even like an honorary Tony.
So she doesn't have a Grammy.
Start reading some books on tape,
right?
Oprah.
That's what I'm saying. She's put out
so
books.
easily.
All she has to do is narrate one of her do an audiobook, and she can win a Grammy.
Yeah.
Or do they give Grammys for podcasts?
Oh my God. I don't actually know.
I don't think so yet, but you know how like Netflix shows started creeping in on the Oscars?
Yeah.
Maybe podcasts got to start creeping in on the Grammys.
There's honestly no good reason that they don't give Grammys for podcasts.
Yeah, but they're going to just give it to Smartless every time.
I know. Yeah.
Like, here, the famous people we want to show up to our show. Here's a Grammy.
Yeah. They don't want to invite us. We're nasty.
Well, the other thing I want to talk about before we get into talking about Fraggle Rock this week is Jim's Red Book, which is back, everyone. Jim's Red Book is the delightful source of knowledge that has been down since November, back when we were discussing late 1981. So there's been, a smattering of Jim's Red Book posts that I've been able to find since then and share. But it's really been one of the things that through the literal years of doing this podcast has been extremely helpful in filling in some context of the other things the Muppets and Jim Henson are doing while these other things are going on. Because I think it's really easy to forget that they're still doing Sesame Street and they're planning movies that we're going to watch in a year from now. So I think it's really helpful to read through that from time to time. I don't share every post that is on there because sometimes it's Jim saying, hey, flew to New York again. And so I'm not going to share all those. But I did want to go ahead and grab a handful from late 1981 to early 1983, where we are now, to share with you all and Sam to fill in some context of some things that have been happening in the background that we haven't talked about. So, November 2nd, 1981, Jim wrote, "Recording pigs in space for NASA Space Shuttle." So NASA asked Jim if the Muppets would record wake-up calls that would play for the astronauts on the second shuttle voyage that launched on November 12th. So Jerry Jewell wrote 5 scripts for the 5-day mission for Piggy, Link, and Dr. Strangepork to greet their fellow astronauts every morning.
Wow. That's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
What year was that?
1981. That was November 2nd, 1981 is when they recorded it, and the shuttle launched on November 12th. So Jim was really, waiting to the last minute on that one.
Yeah.
Then on January 17th, 1982, Jim wrote in his journal, "Meet with Robert Holmes a Court." So Robert Holmes a Court was an Australian entrepreneur. He is the man who managed to buy up enough shares of Lord Lou Great's company, ACC, to take charge of it.
Oh.
We talked about this briefly without any real information behind it when we did our Dark Crystal episode, where we talked about the fact that Jim wanted to buy the rights back to Dark Crystal because Lord Lou Grade was leaving his company.
Mm-hmm.
And this is basically the backstory of that. So because now Robert Holmes a Court had controlling interest in Jim's projects that had been financed by Grade, which included The Muppet Show, the first 2 Muppet movies, some TV specials, and The Dark Crystal, Jim was like, this sucks, and I don't see eye to eye with this guy, because apparently Holmes a Court was just like a businessman who didn't really care about like arts and entertainment at all.
Mm-hmm.
So Jim combined his assets to buy out the rights to the Dark Crystal, and then 2 years later, he bought out the rest of the Muppet properties from Holmes a Court.
That's probably really, really good that he did that.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that would be why all of those things are like owned by Disney now, is because those are the things owned by by Jim Henson and then sold later to Disney,
Right.
while, Muppets Take Manhattan and a couple other ones aren't on Disney Plus.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I've never looked for Muppets Take Manhattan on there.
Yeah, I believe this is more information that we'll get as we get closer to those things, but I believe they are sort of like distributed or owned by different companies. And so like technically I think Disney owns them because they're Muppet things, but they don't have like the distribution rights. But again, could be talking out of my ass. But I know there are Muppet things that are not on Disney Plus because other companies have the distribution rights. It's sort of like the Spider-Man movies, how Sony's like, yeah, those are ours.
Yeah.
Then on January 23rd through the 26th of 1982, Jim wrote more meeting films, which is one of those things that I think we forget that they're still doing in the background, because we discussed all of the Muppet meeting films way back in episode 21 of this podcast in August of 2021.
That was already 21 episodes into the show?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's when we discussed all of the Muppet meeting films, the ones that they made all the way through the 90s. So if you want to hear us talk about all of those, you got to go way back to episode 21.
That was the worst assignment that we've done so far, I think.
Yeah, maybe. That was a lot of things to watch.
Yeah.
And they were very strange. I think that and the music episode were maybe the most challenging episodes we've done, where it was like, hey, listen to like
the
5
music one was
hours of
hard.
music in 1 week.
Yeah.
Whoops.
The music one had me sweating a little bit, definitely.
Thankfully, we enjoyed most of it. Then on March 23rd and 24th of 1982, Jim wrote, "Go to Colorado with Brian. Check out UFC." So Jim spent some time in Colorado in 1982, partially because Brian Henson was going to study astrophysics at the University of Colorado at Boulder. I don't know whether or not he stayed there or not, or whether he, finished school. Don't know that. But Jim also spent time in Colorado because around the same time, in the summer of 1982, they were going to go there to film Rocky Mountain Holiday with John Denver.
Oh, they go film that on location, eh?
Mm-hmm. They actually filmed it in Aspen, or near Aspen. Then jumping way ahead to January 1983, getting a little closer to where we are now, Jim wrote in his journal, Larry Merkin joining Fraggle?
Question mark?
Yes. Larry Merkin is a man who would end up being a producer on Fraggle Rock. And there's a really nice, lovely, long post on Jim's Red Book written by Larry Merkin that if you like what I'm about to tell you here, you can go read the full story from Larry Merkin. But I'm just going to summarize some of it so you know the context here. Basically, Larry Merkin was a contract producer in the TV drama department at the CBC in Toronto. So he had just finished working on a TV movie at the same time they had just finished filming the first 12 episodes of Fraggle Rock, which we're finishing talking about today. And so they had not gone to air yet, but they had finished filming them. And Duncan Kenworthy, who we've talked about previously, produced those first 12 episodes, but he was going to be going back to the UK, where he was from, to help produce the international versions of the show. So Jim wanted a local, Canada-based producer. And so Larry Merkin was being interviewed for that job. So he went to New York to meet with Jim and Diana Birkenfield, who was the executive in charge of production. And apparently, they're walking around Jim's office and stuff. After 20 minutes, Diana Birkenfield comes in and she's like, hey, so Jim, just so you know, Larry has just come down to meet with you and check things out. Nobody's making any commitments to anything right now. And Jim was like, well, I'm ready to make a commitment. So Jim was apparently a big fan of Larry Merkin and was just like, yeah, this is going to work. So then they sent Larry Merkin out to California to meet with Jerry and Susan Jewell, who obviously were also working on Fraggle Rock. And he was basically sent out there to talk with Jerry Jewell about what he did and did not like about the first 12 episodes that they had given him tapes to watch of Fraggle Rock.
Oh.
And at the end of that, apparently Jerry Jewell was like, yeah, you're absolutely right about everything you just said.
Whoa. And can you read what he said?
No, unfortunately. I think he alludes to the fact that there were just some things he didn't feel like were gelling or working in the first 12 episodes that he wanted to help fix in the future, which from what I've actually heard, basically we are watching through episode 12 as of this episode. Apparently, after episode 12, some things do shift. Not only does Gobo get a new outfit, but apparently Gobo becomes less of a dick. And apparently the trash heap also becomes actually helpful.
I don't know if I'll like that. I like the trash heap as she is now.
She's wearing on me a little bit already, so I'd like a change maybe in that realm. But yeah, so that there's a whole 10-paragraph long story on there from Larry Merkin to go read through if you want to. But I just wanted to throw that out there, that Larry Merkin, we might see his name in the credits coming up. This is how he got involved. And the last thing I pulled from Jim's Red Book from the time period before we're talking about today was from January 23rd, 1983, when Jim wrote, Fraggle goes on CBC. And this is because, as we talked about previously, Fraggle Rock premiered on HBO on January 10th, 1983, but then was a little bit delayed when it premiered in Canada on January 23rd. By the end of the year, it was airing in Europe, Australia, Africa, Bermuda, the Caribbean, and then the following year, it went to Asia, the Middle East, and was airing in 45 countries. And by apparently the end of its 5-year run, they were in more than 80 countries in 10 different languages.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently, because I know we've talked about this before, not really understanding the context because we weren't alive, from its premiere, Fraggle Rock was a hit. Everyone loved this show. Tom Shales reviewed it in the Washington Post, saying, a fresh and funny approach to mild, painless moralism, a saucy cuteness that's never merely precious or condescending, and adventures that exclude neither tots nor grandparents nor anyone in between.
Okay, that's good. I guess it wouldn't last, it wouldn't last so long if people weren't watching it, but it does feel like they've just been eclipsed so entirely by other Muppet projects. Specifically just the Muppet Show Muppets. Yeah,
and it's always been one of those wings of the Jim Henson legacy of things that I have always known people have a deep affinity for. I watched them when I was a kid, but it never really connected with me growing up as much as the regular Muppets did. So I would see things like the Ben Folds 5 music video that they put out 10 years ago with the Fraggle Rock characters. I was like, that's cool. But other people were like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I was like, All right. I don't really get it.
It's because you were a very immoral child. You didn't have time for that kind of
Of
thing.
course not. I was like, ugh, painless moralism. Get out of here, Fraggle Rock.
I like painful immoralism, personally.
But yes, that is all I pulled from Jim's Red Book for now. So that means, Sam, it's time to tell the people what we watched this week.
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
In The Lost Treasure of the Fraggles, which aired March 7th, 1983, an accident involving a roller skate results in Red and Gobo ending up in a creepy part of the rock that they'd never been to before. There, they find a map allegedly leading to the lost treasure of the Fraggles, a well-known legend in the Fraggle community, often thought to be some kind of vast riches. Red and Gobo don't believe that the map could be real, but they keep it anyway and also keep it secret from their friends, just in case there actually are riches involved, and then one night they covertly follow the map. It leads them to the Gorg's castle, but when it comes time to enter, they chicken out and then they go back and they grab their friends. United, the gang breaks into the Gorg castle and finds the treasure chest, which is actually a music box that plays a nice little tune. The gang decides that the treasure is too good not to be shared, and they bring it back to the rock for everyone to enjoy. The moral, sharing and friendship are better than hoarding wealth and being lonely. Maybe. Is that the moral
I think
you
that
took away
sounds
from
right,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Especially because they very clearly, Red and Gobo at the beginning of that are like, let's not tell our friends because
We're
we
not
might be
sharing
rich.
anything. Yeah. Next, Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk, airing March 14th, 1983. While Gobo is out in the workshop getting his uncle's postcard, Doc decides it's time to patch up the gaping hole in his wall, leaving Gobo stranded and his friends very worried. They try to hatch a plan to save him, but Red and Wimbley think it's the best course of action is to go talk to the trash heap, and Moki and Boober want to hatch a plan of their own. The trash heap is, as usual, completely useless and tells Red and Wimbley to not cry over spilt milk, which they take to be a magic spell. Boober and Moki are more successful, and they just straight up steal a catapult that the Doozers built to bash the planks that are in front of the hole in with a big rock. Red and Wimbley go to the hole, and they pour milk on the ground, which Moki slips on and then bumps Boober into the catapult, and then Boober gets shot by the catapult through the planks in the hole in the wall, and Gobo is saved. The end. The moral, I guess maybe that working together is better, but I actually don't really know what the moral of this one is. What did you think it was?
I think so. I think that makes sense that working together is the thing, but it's kind of an accident. Like, they don't really all mean to work together. They're kind of working against each other with their plans, and it just happens to work out really well for them.
Yeah, and then at the end, Boober's like, "I saved him all by myself." So they don't learn anything in this particular instance.
No, but getting ahead of myself a little bit, I loved that episode. Even
You did?
Yeah, a lot.
Interesting. Okay. Then we watched Catch a Tail by the Tiger, which aired March 21st, 1983. Gobo is worried about Uncle Traveling Matt because it's been a couple weeks since his last postcard. So Gobo decides that he has no choice but to go into outer space and try to save his uncle. The other Fraggles think that is a really terrible, scary idea, but Gobo puts on a brave face and says that he's eager to do it and he'll be fine. But in his moments of solitude, Gobo is actually very scared, and Red knows this and tries to get him to admit it a bunch of times. His friends tell him to at least go and talk to the trash heap before he goes. Gobo does that, and she basically tells him not to go. Gobo is relieved to have an excuse not to go out into outer space, but when he gets back, all the Fraggles have prepared an extremely elaborate going away ceremony, and Gobo is like too proud and embarrassed to tell them that he's decided to stay. So he goes along with the ceremony, he divvies up all of his belongings to his friends, and he sets off on the adventure that he does not want to take at all. Luckily, when he gets to the workshop, he finds a letter from his uncle who just had the flu, and that's why he didn't write. He doesn't have to go after all. He comes back, he admits to Red that he was actually scared the whole time, and everybody's happy. The moral, you gotta do what you gotta do, but also don't talk such a big game that you get in over your head, and also, it's okay to admit when you're scared. Kind of a lot of morals going on in this one.
Yeah, I think story-wise, one of the more dense, complicated ones we've watched.
Yeah, because it was interesting that he was scared, but he still knew he had to go do it.
Yeah, there's a really interesting twist, like at the very end of that episode almost, where he admits he's scared, and his friends go, that's cool, dude. You can be scared. That's fine. You don't have to go. And you're like, oh, okay, that's nice that he was finally able to admit it. And then after that, he still goes, but I still got to do this. I still need to go.
Yeah.
And they're like,
My
oh,
uncle can't
what?
die.
Yeah, to be fair, he was thinking he was saving his dying uncle.
Finally, we watched The Finger of Light, which aired March 28th, 1983. The oldest Fraggle in the world stops by to make a grand declaration that it is ruler of the Rock Day, a day in which 5 Fraggles must brave the depths of the cave to reach the Finger of Light, a mystical beam of energy that will choose one of them to be the leader of Fraggle Rock and allow them to make 3 new rules that every Fraggle must follow and will also hopefully increase the quality of life for all Fraggles. The oldest Fraggle in the world asks for volunteers. Red and Gobo are super pumped to go. Moki wants to go as a non-participating observer in order to record the ritual for her book. And the other volunteer is Marlin Fraggle, who's an absolute little creep of a Fraggle who wants to be the ruler of Fraggle Rock to institute his own ideas about behavior modification. He's literally just a little monster man.
I unexpected is how I will describe Marlin Fraggle.
Extremely. Yeah. The Fraggles reach the chamber of the Finger of Light, and the Finger chooses Moki to rule, even though she really does not want to. But the rules are the rules, so she has to make 3 commands. Her first command happens right away when she tells the other Fraggles in the chamber with her to be quiet because they're just overwhelming her. Back at the Rock, all the Fraggles are waiting to plead with Moki to make a declaration on their behalf, like Red wants everyone to start wearing pigtails, Boober wants everyone to wear surgical masks all the time to protect from germs.
Ahead of the times.
Very timely, he was right.
Yeah.
And everyone's yelling at poor, overwhelmed Moki, and then in the commotion, Boober steps on her tail, which leads to her second commandment, which is get off my tail. So now Moki's feeling the pressure to make one really perfect command to help out everyone, but she can't think of any one rule that would apply and be good enough, and she thinks it's kind of nuts that she even has to have that pressure on her in the first place, so she refuses to make her final commandment. And this kind of pisses all the Fraggles off, and the world's oldest Fraggle tells her that of course there's not one rule that's going to help everybody, that this is basically just a game, and that the Fraggles are more upset that she's ruining the game than anything else. So Moki declares that everybody has to watch Wimbley balance a pickle on his nose, and they do that, and that seems to shut them up. The moral. I think there's a lot of morals in this one. Heavy is the head that wears the crown is one of them. The best rulers are those that don't want to rule. It's a fool's errand to try to make everybody happy. And also something about governing and legislation sometimes being like more a form of entertainment than something helpful, maybe. That last one's kind of hard, but when he's like, hey, it's just a game. They don't really care what you do. It's like, what are you trying to say here, world's oldest Fraggle? Also, throughout these episodes, Doc and Sprocket are doing wacky stuff, but sometimes it's really just not that important. They're just up there doing their thing. And other stuff that happened in March 1983. Tears for Fears and Duran Duran, bands that are basically synonymous with the 80s in my opinion, both have their first charting songs and albums. And also, Nancy Reagan kicks off the Just Say No drug campaign on the TV show Different Strokes.
Boo.
So we're full tilt in the 80s now, baby. Did you say boo?
Yeah,
also
I was just
boo.
booing Nancy Reagan.
Yeah. I mean, lots of dominoes being set up by the Reagan family that will.
Yeah.
It's like that meme with the really big domino at the end, you know? Except it was a pretty big domino to begin
Yeah,
with.
I was going to say, it's not like Duran Duran is the first domino and then like terrible, horrible things in the 80s happened.
No.
Duran Duran had
Nancy
nothing
Reagan
to do with
being on Different Strokes is the tiny one. And the big one is like, I don't know.
Maybe it's like the first tiny one is
prison
like
industrial complex.
Different Strokes is a show. Like somebody invents Different Strokes and then Prison Industrial Complex exists.
Yes, exactly.
Well, some other things were happening in the world of the Muppets in 1983. Jim on March 2nd wrote in his journal, "To Australia, first time, Sydney." Presumably to promote the Dark Crystal because they were on sort of a worldwide trip to promote this thing. Then on March 13th, 1983, he went to the award dinner from the National Council for Children and Television. This was basically, again, in the 80s, there was a growing concern about the quality and quantity of screen time for children. They did not foresee iPads.
No, they didn't really make much of a dent in it.
They tried. Basically, the way they tried was they would give awards to people who were doing positive things with television for children. And so they presented the first annual Career Achievement Award to Jim Henson. And it was presented to him at a gala dinner hosted by Dick Clark, Bob Keeshan, who was Captain Kangaroo, and Henry Winkler.
The Fonz.
The Fonz.
The most positive television influence of all time, really.
When Jim accepted the award, he said, "Television used well is one of those things that can be a terrific tool." And he also said, "Kids are going to watch television anyhow, so why not put something on television that's good for them?"
What a dork. This is leading directly into like the age of like Transformers and G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe, like the absolute nastiest depths.
Yeah, Hasbro's about to be like, "Ha, Jim Henson, we're coming."
Yeah.
Oh, you wanted to end war with your show? We want to inspire war with robots.
What if we make every show be about war? Interesting thought, eh?
March 22nd, 1983, Jim wrote that he was at the opening of Dark Crystal with Cheryl and Brian Henson in Paris for the opening of the film there. March 25th, 1983, something I could not find for us to watch, but Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch appeared on the Richard Simmons show.
Wow.
Yeah. I can only find like a few clips from that show at all. And
It's not Sweating to the Oldies.
it's like a
Okay.
daytime like kind of talk show. I think there's maybe some Sweating to the Oldies involved there, but then there's
Gotta
like other segments where he's like cooking and things. So yeah,
Cool.
at some point Big Bird and Oscar were on there. Don't know what they did. Very little description of it, but yeah.
I bet it was fun, though. That sounds fun.
March 28th, 1983, Jim wrote, Dennis Lee, Brian Froud, and I begin talking about Labyrinth in London.
Oh.
Yeah, Jim started planning for the Labyrinth in early 1983, which will come out in 1986. And Jim asked Fraggle Rock lyricist Dennis Lee to help develop a narrative. So Lee apparently wrote a, quote, poetic novella outlining a coming-of-age story set in a Froudian world of goblins, hairy beasts, and animated masonry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kind of a Fraggly world, too, a little bit, I would say the Labyrinth is.
I would say, yeah, that makes sense. Just like ugly Fraggles.
Yeah.
Like Hoggle, ugly Fraggle.
He's just one that they were like, you got to get out of here, man. You're too gross.
Oh, you're friends with Marlin? Get out of here. But yeah, that is what else is happening in the world of Jim Henson and the Muppets in March of 1983. So Sam, what'd you think of this last of the first 12 episodes of Fraggle Rock?
Some of these episodes were ones I struggled with the very most.
Mm.
And some of them were some of the best ones we've watched so far, I think. But yeah, I didn't, especially Lost Treasure of the Fraggles. That one I had a hard time sitting through for some reason.
It felt like it almost should have been like a spin-off hour-long movie, like TV movie for Fraggle Rock, because there was so much sort of crammed into that one that it could have been drawn out a bit more. And I agree, like, that's not my least favorite of the four, but I understand why that one might have, like, just rolled off your back.
By process of elimination, one of your least favorite must have been one of my most favorite. But anyway, yeah, that one had a lot. I felt like that one had a lot of wheel spinning with the Gorgs too. Like, just a lot of like, why are we watching these guys talk so much? And also, Ma and Pa Gorg get a little too sexy at one point.
They very much do. They get extremely flirty with each other, which I didn't like thinking about too much.
I guess it's fine.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. Junior had to come from somewhere,
somehow.
But I just don't want to think about it.
But yeah, I don't know how much we want to go into all four of them right away. Or do you want to talk about all four of them right away?
We can talk about whatever we want. It's our award-winning podcast,
Shit,
Sam.
we won an award, so we must be doing something,
Yeah.
right? Okay, well, anyway. So that was my least favorite of this group, was Last Treasure of the Fraggle. Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk. I think I really didn't like this one.
I like the writing in this one, not necessarily the story overall. I think the dialogue in this one was some of the strongest we've seen so far.
Oh, interesting. Maybe I was just struggling so much with, like, what is the point of this? That I just didn't like that one. I did think it was, like, I don't know, it was pretty funny that Boober or Moki steal a catapult. I liked that particular part. I didn't think the Cry Over Spill Milk thing, like, I feel like they could have thought of something better than that.
Oh, that's where I totally agree with you. I think that part of it was nothing. Like, I think without the very end where Red and Wembley think it's a magic potion and they try really hard not to cry over spilled milk, without that, the whole rest of that is nothing.
Yeah, and it could have been fun if Moki and Boober and Red and Wembley both had like different inventions they thought would work, and then at the end, those two inventions like need each other to work.
Yes.
And then they'd be like, "Oh, we should have just been doing this the whole
Yeah.
time." That would have been more interesting to me, but it was just so tenuous, the connection. And then it was like kind of confusing that Moki was just like, "Oh, I'm so sad. I have to go off by myself and think." What was she doing?
Well, yeah, because there's a point at which when they all split up that they first start talking about teamwork, and they're like, "We all need to work together." And Boober's like, "I'm gonna go down the tunnel and check things out." And immediately Red and Wembley go, "We're gonna go ask the trash heap." And Moki goes, "Okay, I'm just gonna walk around and be sad for a while."
Not very helpful.
No, extremely unhelpful, actually, in this episode.
Uh-huh.
Moki's just like, "Yeah, maybe things will just work out, but I'm not gonna do anything to make that happen."
Yeah, and Boober uncharacteristically like, I guess he felt bad that it was kind of his. Not, it wasn't even his fault he got locked in there, but he felt bad about it. But he was so gung ho about taking action.
I think so. This is an interesting episode because I do think it has some of the strongest dialogue for me personally. When Gobo gets stuck in the workshop and Wembley runs back and is telling everyone, like, Gobo's stuck in outer space. We have Gobo in outer space, sad, but he's very convinced. He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna be okay. My friends will save me. Wembley's gonna go tell the people. They're gonna come save me." And when Wembley goes and tells everyone, the first thing Red says is, "Well, there's only one thing we can do. Sing about it."
Yeah, I did like that. Was pretty good.
Like, it felt like such like a self-aware Fraggle moment that should have happened like 3 seasons from now. But this was actually, which actually leads into some of my problems with this episode, this was the second one they made.
Oh,
And
wow.
the reason I think that's a problem is because this feels like another pilot episode. There's
Yeah.
so many things in this episode that are over-explained or repeated
Yeah.
about the Gorgs, about outer space, about this. Like, they reintroduce like every character and everything in the show.
Yeah.
Which, again, I understand that they were like making these things out of order, didn't necessarily know what was going to air when. But it was a little bit like, yeah, guys, we've done this already. Especially to watch it like episode 10, to feel like, okay, why are we meeting the Gorgs again? Or why are you telling us the Gorgs chase Fraggles? Like, we know all this stuff. We've been watching this for 9 episodes.
So if this had aired as the second episode, would you have liked it better, maybe?
Probably, I would say. I think it would still feel a little weird because like then we had 2 episodes back to back that felt like pilots. So I think, to me, I think this is a mixed bag of an episode where some of the dialogue is some of my favorite, like actual, like I laughed out loud at some of the dialogue in this episode. But I think that the Moki of it all brings it down a little bit, and also the reintroducing everything kind of brought it down.
I gotta say, Doc was also driving me crazy in this episode. I hated the party blower subplot. It was so annoying.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about some of these other episodes first. We've been focusing a lot on episode 2 of the batch. Then we had Catch the Tail by the Tiger, which is the one where, Uncle Traveling Matt hasn't sent a postcard for a while. I guess this is one. How did you feel about this episode overall?
I loved this episode.
I also like this episode. For me, my least favorite of the batch is the Finger of Light.
Oh, I thought that was the best of the batch.
That one was so boring to me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think there's some very interesting things that are happening in there, again, like you were talking about in your description of the episode. But I had a hard time caring about the Finger of Light. And I just felt like if we're comparing this episode about lore to the first episode of The Treasure of the Fraggles, I felt like lore was more clearly established with rules that made sense to me in The Treasure of the Fraggles versus the Finger of Light, which was like, I was waiting for the hook of like, oh, Doc turns on his garage light and that's the Finger of Light. Like,
fun.
There was no real world explanation for it like there was with the pipe bangers and all these other things, that it just felt like, oh, okay, there's just like an actual magic light.
Magic light. That's a really good point. I think, and I did like in the Music Box one, almost had like a Star Wars style like world building where it was like, oh, the treasure was lost during the second drafting or whatever. It's like, whoa, what's that? Who knows? But I think the Finger of Light one was fun because it was almost like Hitchhiker's Guide style, like this is all pointless in a way that I liked. Like, this is all stupid. And actually, the world's oldest Fraggle knows it's all stupid.
Yeah, I like the world's oldest
Nobody
Fraggle a
else
lot.
does, but
The
yeah.
only bummer about having the world's oldest Fraggle in episodes is that it means less Boober because Dave Goelz is busy.
Was Dave Goelz also Marlin?
No, that was Steve Whitmire.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought it was really weird, and I'm trying to think if there's some symbolism to it, where the world's oldest Fraggle was like, I need 5 people to come, and then only 4 people go? And he's like, all right, we'll go with 4. Is that just like Fraggles care so little about being in charge that he couldn't even get 5 people to come be the king of the Fraggles?
Well, and maybe that shows off just how like unimportant and game like this really is, where like the first rule he says is like, we must have 5 Fraggles. And it's like, well, we have 4.
That's
He's like,
true.
all right, that works.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that one just felt like there was something really deep that I was missing, but in like a satisfying way where I want to think about it more. That's why I like that one. And I think it's just like, I don't know, that kind of like nonsense is the kind of thing I like. But I totally agree. The finger of light could have been a more fun thing.
And that's not to say
Could have been
that
a
like,
laser pointer, you know?
yeah. This is how they became cool. Doc invented the laser pointer.
Yeah.
And everyone in the world was like, we got to get some of those.
Yeah.
I bet.
Oh, man.
That's the thing that I bet that like this sounds like old man talk, but like that is a thing that I bet like current teens maybe don't even know that there was a laser pointer fad in the 90s that we all were just like, I need a red dot on the wall right now.
Yeah. I need to ruin this movie for everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to go to
by
sporting
shining
events and
this on
shine it in
nipples.
people's eyes, and they're going to be complaining about that. And
Yeah.
I remember like people, flying like planes and stuff, being mad that people were shining laser pointers up in the sky at them.
Yeah, it's like super illegal to point them at planes and
Yeah.
helicopters and stuff.
But I had like a laser pointer that you could like change the tip on, and it would like show shapes and words on the wall.
Yeah, right.
Buy that at County
You were
Fair.
very cool.
Yeah.
But we didn't talk much about Catch a Tiger by the Tail, which I don't know. I think this one was better than the Finger of Light.
I agree.
It's just so dense.
Yeah, and I mean, great costumes, first of all. Gobo gets an amazing...
Oh, his spiky little adventure
that
outfit was
would be a
amazing.
great Halloween costume. Maybe the most confusing Halloween costume you could possibly have. But his spiky like Bowser coat that he's got, his cool little like goggles with his pilot helmet, and then the scary monster on a stick to scare people away. All of it, top notch. You would be the most confusing costume at the party, guaranteed. In the rules of Fraggle Rock, where Doc and Sprocket need to like be hidden and not figured out, that'd be a pretty good one.
These episodes did make me think a lot. What would happen if Doc saw Fraggle? I feel like he'd just be like, "Hey, cool, hey, little guy."
Well,
Right.
I believe we will find out at some point.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I know when and how, but I don't want to spoil that for you.
Yeah, don't tell me, because he doesn't know what Fraggles are in Muppet Family Christmas.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true. So
Okay, there's maybe something going on.
there's some
there, though.
canonical mess happening in that, I believe, where it doesn't really make sense with Fraggle Rock.
Oh, and he also says he knows Kermit in this, right?
Well, he doesn't.
The letter he got from Kermit.
It's a letter
the frog?
from
Gotta be.
a Kermit.
Yeah, but come
He does
on.
not say it's a letter from Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, I think Jerry Jewell wrote that, right?
Well, yeah, but the name Kermit was more known
A real
at one
name.
point.
I'm just gonna assume that that's Kermit the Frog, who he also doesn't know in Muppet Family Christmas, so we have an issue there.
Maybe they're pen pals. And so
Oh, he doesn't know he's a
Yeah.
frog. Yeah.
it's just like this guy Kermit who's really busy with work all the time, needs to vent to somebody, and he found this weird tinkerer in a pen pal forum, magazine, whatever they had back then. And
he signs his letters Kermit T. Frog. And he's like, Frog, weird last name.
Yeah.
But all right, I guess there's a guy named Gobo Fraggle out
Yeah.
there, so Frog isn't that weird.
what'd you feel about Doc and Sprocket? Like, how are you feeling about Doc and Sprocket overall?
I don't dislike them or feel like they don't fit in the show. I mean, honestly, I'm already a little bit sick of the traveling Matt segments and the, oh, hey, wait, guys, I'm going to go get the postcard. I'll be right there. Or when he's like, oh, I remember the first postcard that my uncle sent me. It's just like, sometimes you can feel the writer being like, I guess I have to put the freaking postcard part of the episode.
Yeah,
now.
it is interesting when you break down like the timing on a Fraggle Rock episode of like, okay, you have to have Uncle Traveling Matt, you have to have Doc and Sprocket, you have to have at least a song or two, and figuring out like, okay, how much time do the writers actually have to devote to story?
I like Doc and Sprocket all the time. I like them better when what they're doing impacts Fraggle Rock, like when they slip on the roller skate. Like, that's great. If Doc is the one who's like inciting these incidents, or he's the one who's like, gosh, what's that freaking sound? Yeah, like the water one. Like, that's great because he's the one who turns the water off. It's just so hard to be mad at them in any way because they're so great.
Yeah.
Just like, like the acting and they're so funny. But then sometimes it's like, well, they didn't really do anything this episode that mattered.
Yeah, the only thing I don't love about Doc and Sprocket at this point is the very end of the episodes. Like they always have to have like a little sting at the end of the episode where we check in on Doc and Sprocket. And I've found that most of the time we've already wrapped up their story, and then we come back for a little sting that rarely adds like even an additional joke to it. It's just like, oh yeah, they're there.
At the very best, sometimes Doc will like sum up what the moral of the episode was.
But other times he just he invents a party blowing thing and just says, from this moment on, the piano is obsolete. And that's the end of the episode. And so it's like you go from having like a big Fraggle musical number wrap up with the moral, and then it kind of like lessens the impact a little bit to cut back to Doc just being like, hey, Sprocket. Ah!
Does he mention having a wife in this batch of episodes?
I don't think so.
Maybe I dreamt that.
Yeah, he had a dream about Doc and his wife. Because notably, at one point in one of these episodes, he is wearing an old Geppetto nightgown and wanders off to go to bed. But he walks towards the camera to go to bed and not out of his workshop. So we've talked about previously he showers in there. Apparently, he also sleeps in another part of his workshop.
No, that's just his house.
As Gobo also comments in one of these episodes, he says, does this guy ever leave?
He's worried about Doc.
You know, I am a little bit too after this batch of episodes. He yells at people all the time on the phone.
His emotions are all over the place.
He's a horrible neighbor.
I mean, people are always swearing at him and trying to get him to stop doing the stuff he's doing. Which, when the one where he was playing the music really loud to make the plants grow, I did wish that they had tied that. Like, it would have been fun to have an episode where his music is driving the Fraggles insane.
Yeah.
And they have to do something about it.
And like maybe they're the ones who like cut the wires to his speaker and actually sort of save the neighbors.
But at first they're like, hell yeah, we love music. But then it's just like 5 days later they're like, no,
this actually
we have
sucks
to
though.
Do something about this. Yeah. But all that is to say, I still love Fraggle Rock, and even the bad episode, in my opinion, the Treasure of the Fraggles one, still great. Still, still taught me about the characters and had a coherent world and stuff. But you're sick of the trash heap, you said.
I'm not sick of the trash heap. I think similar, like another thing of like, we have to have a trash heap segment. We have to do this. We have to check in with the Gorgs. Like there's just so much that they don't do in every episode, because there's an episode in here, I think the Tail by the Tiger. I don't think we see the Gorgs in that episode at all. No. But it just feels sometimes like the formula gets in the way a little bit. And it's like, well, we don't really have anything for the trash heap, but we should probably include her. So let's just say don't cry over spilled milk. And it's like the least helpful advice she's given so far. And
I didn't like that.
Yeah. So I think it's more that where I'm just like, I get it, I think is the problem, is like, if it changes after this episode, I'm looking forward to it changing a little bit. And I will say it's like 50-50. Sometimes Trash Heap totally gets me, and I love the relationship with Philo and Gunge and everything that's going on there. And then other times it's like, why was this here? Why do we even bother to go to the Trash Heap? Nothing happened.
I think the Trash Heap is so cool because she and Philo and Gunge have all of the traditional things you would think of as like a villain having. Like, they're so nasty. And like Philo and Gunge especially are like so rude, and they go nee, and it's like these guys should be bad, but they're good. And something about that like mismatch. Whenever I see them, I'm always happy. I love Philo and Gunge. I think they're like among my favorite Muppets, maybe.
I feel like they give like Dave Goelz and Richard Hunt an opportunity to be characters that they've never really gotten to be before.
It's a little bit like Statler and Waldorf. So,
a little bit, but they're not like. I feel like Philo and Gunge don't realize when they're rude. Like when they are rude, they're rude, but they don't go there with the intention of like, hey, Gobo, nice face.
Yeah, that's true. They're just a bit self-important, and they all love each other at the end of the day. They love hanging out on that big nasty woman.
I feel like they worship her, like she is their god.
I guess so. They're kind of rude to her too, though. Sometimes they're like, that was really stupid advice, right?
there's a thing, and I know you didn't love The Lost Treasure of the Fraggles, but Sprocket on roller skates is one of the best things I've ever seen, because I think we've talked about this previously on The Muppet Show. When Muppets are on roller skates and they have to convincingly pretend to roller skate, there's just something so charming about watching them just in general be very smooth and sailing around, but then remembering how it's being done is just someone down below moving differently than they normally do with this puppet. And it's just, it's so charming. He has like all 4 roller skates at one point, and then one of them slips away, and that's when it goes through the cave, and Gobo and Red end up riding it like a mine cart down through the caves of Fraggle Rock. But then later on in the episode, we see Sprocket riding, walking around, I guess, on 2 roller skates. And throughout this whole episode, Doc is trying to get into an old chest that he bought, and he is trying to ask Sprocket for help. Sprocket only cares about roller skating, nothing else. And then at one point, when Doc is trying to convince Sprocket to help him out, he says something like, there might be a skateboard in the chest, which I guess now that he's got a taste for roller skates, Sprocket's like, hell yeah.
Got to get more extreme.
And kudos to Steve Whitmire and whoever was helping him out with this puppetry moment, because Sprocket is like roller skating in circles and seamlessly and smoothly swings by the tool bench, grabs a mallet, and goes straight to the chest and starts whacking it. And it was like a puppeteering moment that made me laugh out loud, just because of how smooth he was, of just like immediately hear skateboard. He's like, oh shit, all right, gotcha.
Rachel watches all these episodes with me, and she's laughed more at Sprocket than at anything else that we've ever watched in the entirety of the show.
Devin is the same. I think Sprocket and Boober are the things that get Devin the most often.
You gotta, how could you not love Sprocket? I think and the way that they cut between seeing all 4 of his legs and seeing him roller skate around is so seamless too. He's one of the easiest to forget that he is a puppet of any Muppet ever.
I think I had that thought during this batch of episodes about the entirety of this show, that I think this is the most convincing puppetry they've ever done across anything, as far as convincing me that these are real characters, because we see the full body Fraggles, or at least their legs and things, so much more than we ever saw the Muppets on the Muppet Show. Obviously in the movies, that's a whole other thing. They do a lot to show us the full body Muppets doing things like riding bikes. That's really impressive. But as far as building a world, convincing me these characters are real on this TV show,
and the way that they navigate it, it's so satisfying. Or they're shimmying across that bridge and sliding all over the place, and it's just there's nothing they can't make them do.
Right, and I think that's what there's small moments too where you'll just see them hanging out back in their sleeping quarters, and you'll notice that Red's just standing there off to the side, full body just standing there, and clearly there's a hole in the wall behind her, but you don't really think about that in the moment. You're just watching them all have this conversation in there, and it's not even supposed to impress you necessarily, but it just adds to the characterization of these characters, which is oh yeah, they can just walk around, and they can go across a bridge, and they can run through the gourd garden and all this stuff. And obviously you see the strings sometimes, you see the little things,
the arm rods and stuff. Yeah.
But as characters, I think we've talked about this obviously in multiple episodes already, but they're such good characters, on a surface level, so well written, and we're getting to know them more and more every week. Then to have the physical element on top of that, of getting to see them look more and more convincing, is just making them some of the best, well-rounded characters we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think kind of related. There's a Matt section this round that didn't work for me, where he meets the marionette.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I felt a kinship. And it's shut up. You guys aren't puppets. The Muppets are puppets. You guys are real little guys.
Yeah, I was curious about that one, because it also made me feel a little weird, and I didn't really know why. But I was also
because he gets turned into a living marionette.
It's like a reverse Pinocchio situation, where Uncle Traveling Matt sees a marionette out and about. This is in the Finger of Light episode, and he says, "I was drawn to them. It was almost like I saw a family resemblance." And the marionette guy is immediately I'm going to tie strings to this guy and control him.
A very sinister vibe to that fella, too.
Yeah, I was trying to find out who that was. I couldn't find out on IMDb or Muppet Wiki if this was a famous puppeteer friend of Jim's, but
just some Canadian down by the docks who was being a marionette guy.
Yeah, I think Red agrees with you about that one because afterwards she says that one is
Yes.
snore pie with yawn sauce.
I'm starting to really love Red because she is always like, I do not want to hear any more about this.
And she calls Gobo
It's
out on his
boring
shit
to
more than
me.
anyone. Like I love Gobo and
Yeah.
Red's friendship.
Me too.
Like
Yeah.
it just feels
That's
like
what- that
so
was-
real and genuine of like these people who have been friends forever. And like
Yeah.
Red's the only one who realizes Gobo is actually scared in the Tail
Mhm.
by the Tiger episode. And I would like to see a little bit more depth from Red, which I feel like we've got a little bit of in the Moki episode, but I'm sure we will get it in the future. But that's the only thing is like I love their friendship and I want to see it get explored a little bit more, other than just the like, yeah, right, Gobo, I see right through you.
I think but I appreciate that because of who Gobo is. Like that is a valuable
he needs to be
thing
called
for
out.
her to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is that was such a great wrinkle and catch it. Tail by the Tiger was that the whole time Red was like, you are lying to us. And also that Gobo did learn a lesson, which was surprising to me, that he was like the butt of that episode and kind of like paid for being so like, oh yeah, I'm Gobo, I can do anything. I also thought it was really cute when he was giving out his awards and he was like, this is the only award I've ever won. Second place in a pie eating contest. It's like, you're a loser.
No, even worse than that. It was honorable mention in a pie eating contest.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that was such a fun little like, Gobo is like, he's an underachiever just like all the rest of them. He just is a fancier way of talking or something.
Yeah, he gives Wembley a pile of rocks that Wembley keeps calling smoothies.
His smoothies. Yeah, when he said that, I was like, did they even invent smoothies in 1983? Did they know what those were yet?
I'm sure smoothies probably existed, but not in the, round, shiny rock form.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gobo only leaves things to two people, Wembley and Red. He leaves the ribbon to. And I was like, man, really? Nothing for Moki or Boober there, huh?
Yeah, Moki and Boober feel like I've been thinking about the friends, how they line up with the friends characters. So Moki and Boober definitely have kind of a like Moki's for sure.
I was gonna say if you don't say Moki's Phoebe, you're wrong.
Yeah, Moki is for sure Phoebe. Boober, I guess, is Chandler.
Yeah, I think he's a Chandler.
But Phoebe also, when you watch Friends, it's kind of like sometimes they do things and it's like they leave Phoebe out. And it kind of feels like Phoebe's like their newest friend. Or it's like, you need to treat Phoebe a little bit better than that. And she lives farther away from them than the rest of them. So she just like gets looped in less. So, I mean, I could see Gobo not thinking of Moki as like his best friend. Because even in like a best friend group, it's like there's that person that you don't necessarily want to like in Seinfeld when George and Elaine don't really like to be alone together because they don't have anything to talk about. Like if Moki and Gobo went out just like for a walk, they'd be like, well, all right, where's Wembley? Let's get Wembley over here.
Yeah. So in my estimation here, there is no Rachel in the Fraggles.
That is an interesting point.
I think we've got a Boober Chandler. We've got a Moki Phoebe.
Yeah.
I think we've got Gobo as Ross. And I think we got Wembley as Joey. And Red is Monica.
Absolutely. Red's a clear Monica.
Yeah. Like a little bit
That
more
one's
fun
easy.
than Monica. But as far as like calling Ross out on his shit, that's clearly a Monica role.
And taking things too far, like competitively.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
So there's no Rachel.
Yeah. And to me, when you watch that show again, Rachel is really like the key to the whole show. She's like the main character.
Oh yeah,
in my
I'm sure.
opinion.
Like obviously she shows up in the first episode and like sparks the whole thing. So I'm sure before that it was just four boring people sitting in a coffee shop.
Yeah. But I think they all maybe have a little bit of a Rachel in them because Rachel is compassionate. And I think they're all the Friends characters with the Rachel compassion added to it. And she's vain too, and they're also vain. She is kind of fraggly because she's like vain and lazy, and she just kind of like floats through, and everything goes her way. So all Fraggles are Rachel, but with a little injection of the other friends.
I think she's also got a little bit of that
about
Moki energy then too, of like when Moki in the tail of or when Moki
Yeah,
like
that's true.
tries to help out in the episode where the Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk episode, and she's just like, well, I am sure everyone else will figure this out. I don't really need to do anything.
And also, I would say we're talking about friends a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, one of Rachel's catchphrases, almost I would say, is "Oh, sweetie," and I feel like Moki says "Oh, sweetie" a lot.
All right, I think we figured this out. But
Maybe she's a little bit more of a Rachel than a Phoebe, even.
I think it's one of those things where it's like I think it's a perfect middle ground between a Phoebe and a Rachel as far as Moki is concerned.
Yeah. Right.
But
well, glad we got that all sorted.
Yeah, this has been your podcast within a podcast. Friends goals.
Old guys talk about old stuff.
Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle Rock. I like that. Okay, I'm writing that down. That could be another piece.
That's a T-shirt right there. Fraggle Rock.
Yes. Fraggle
Would it be in the Friends font or the Fraggle font?
I think it would be in the Friends
If it was just like, we could also just do a Friends shirt that just says Fraggles in the Friends font.
Oh my gosh. Printing money.
Oh no, Sam. Oh no. They both have clapping in the theme song.
Oh my god.
And now I really want to cut together an opening credits of Fraggle Rock because
to the Friends
theme
theme song. Well, Matt, we still have to finish this podcast.
Dance around in a big thing of water.
Work. Matt, what are you doing to me? That's where Friends got the idea. Oh no!
They ripped off Fraggle Rock. This is the point of this podcast, everyone. We've been trying to send letters to Warner Brothers and say, hey, we know we're on to you. I am going to Google Fraggle Rock Friends opening credits to make sure nobody else has done this, so that way I have a task for our holiday day off tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, good thing we don't work tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't see it, Sam. So I think the hardest part will be pulling some Fraggle Rock clips to line up with it. But if history has proven anything, I will scroll through lots and lots of hours of Muppet media to make a video.
I bet you could find stuff in the first 12 episodes that we've already watched. Well, anyway, where do we even go from there?
I want to go back to the Lost Treasure of the Fraggles a little bit because there is some lore that I want to explore in there. You had mentioned that they brought up the time of the third drafting, which in Gobo's words was about a zillion squintillion days ago. Yeah. So I like this idea that there is a lot of Fraggle lore, but they don't care too much. Like even
exactly when it
the
happened.
Terrible Tunnel, they were like, is it 1,000 years ago or 33 years ago? Who knows? I also do really enjoy, I know, like, again, you didn't like that episode, but I enjoy Gobo and Red having sort of the conniving side to them shown, where, again,
I thought that worked.
It shows their friendship, that they are trusting each other of like, hey, I know we're friends. We don't need to tell those other guys about this treasure map. That might be fake, but might also lead to millions of diamonds.
Yeah. And any of the rest of the Fraggles would be like, would this instantly blurt it out when they got back, which Gobo almost did, but didn't
Well,
quite.
at that point, he also didn't quite know that Red was going to hide it from them. He comes back and he's about to tell everyone, like, hey, we found this treasure map. And Red cuts him off like, no, we didn't. And that's when Gobo pretty quickly is like, oh, okay. I see what we're doing here.
Yeah, that was pretty
Because at that point, also, Gobo is convinced that the treasure map is probably fake anyways.
Mm-hmm. And also the diamonds, they really just want to use to skip as skipping rocks.
They don't really have any connection to money, which, thankfully, this is one of the Uncle Traveling Matt segments that does connect to the story here. It's Uncle Traveling Matt finds a fountain, and he sees people throwing money into the fountain. And he's happy because he's been collecting money and didn't know what to do with it. So he has a whole backpack full of coins, and he throws it all into the fountain.
I really like that he asks that passing guy why he threw a coin into the fountain. The guy's just like, I don't know. Everybody just does this. Like that guy doesn't know that you wish or something.
Every time Uncle Traveling Matt has interacted with a human, I am happy about it because they're always just like, they have no reaction to this guy who's clearly...
No, they don't care.
It's like in Mario Odyssey, where like Mario's the only one who looks like that when he's in New Donk City or whatever. And I'm like, why does it
Which you'd assume, I think he's from New Donk
Yeah,
City, I guess.
but nobody else looks like him
But
there. Everyone just
no.
looks like normal, weird mannequin people. And that's sort of like, I like this reality where nobody has a problem with Uncle Traveling Matt, even when he
Yeah.
directly is like impacting their lives or getting in their way. They're just like, all right, I'm going to let this weird little dude do what he wants to do.
It makes it kind of sad that the Fraggles have to hide because, like, that they feel like they have
Right.
to hide.
Like they could come up and nobody's
'cause
going to have a
nothing would
problem.
happen.
Well, at
Yeah.
least in Canada. Most of these things
That's
take place in
true.
Canada.
That's true.
Much more understanding.
The story could be a bit different in the
Yeah.
U.S. Yeah.
Don't Uncle Traveling Matt should probably not go to like Texas or something.
Great point. I actually I liked this episode a lot up until they were like, oh, the map leads to the Gorg Garden. Because then it was like, that's kind of lazy. Could have led somewhere more fun than that.
Yeah, because we do get to see like unseen parts of Fraggle Rock in this. Like at the beginning, they crash through the wall and they're like, oh, we've never been to this part of Fraggle Rock before.
The really creepy spidery
Yeah.
cave with all the feather spiders. That was really cool.
And they, even when they're going first and they find the carved into the rock, the solemn mark of the Fraggle. And they keep repeating, which I really liked too. They keep going, so of course we're going to share this with our friends, right? And they're like, yeah, of course. Of course they are. They have like tried to like build themselves up to admit they're like, we're probably going to have to, right?
Yeah.
There's also a nice little, another sitcom stealing from Fraggle Rock. There's a nice little How I Met Your Mother like reference in here where Red says something's going to be a major disaster. And I think Gobo says, I'll be Captain Disaster. So the major captain kind of, yeah. Have you not seen?
I've never seen How I Met Your
I was
Mother.
like, I could see it on your face. I was like,
I'm
he's
so
never seen a
sorry.
second of that show.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Basically, if somebody in throughout How I Met Your Mother ever says like, oh my God, this is going to be a major disaster, somebody will go, major disaster, and salute. So this was...
That's where How I Met Your Mother.
Exactly, Sam. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're a Warner Brothers show, so somebody else also we need to write a letter to. But yes, there's a couple things about the Gorg Garden Castle treasure plot that I didn't love. One, like you said, could have gone somewhere more interesting. Two, there was a segment here where I put in my notes, I bet Sam hated this part. And it's when Ma Gorg brings out a peach pie with garlic
the pie
to Junior
is so
Gorg,
stupid.
and the pie
It's so
is
stupid.
bouncy, and he can't get his fork
Yeah.
into it.
Wah, wah.
And that only
Fuck you.
that's when I was like, because him trying to stab this cartoonish bouncy pie and like doing his baby voice over it, I was like, Sam is gonna despise this part of the episode.
That was actually the part when he did that, and he's like, "Oh, my mom's a horrible cook." That part was kind of funny, because it is a little bit funny that Junior Gorg is like, "I love you guys so much," but also isn't above just being like, "Yeah, my parents kind of suck sometimes too." And the sound of the pie,
Bang,
the fork on the pie,
bang,
that like
bang.
the first time it happened was surprising, but then it was like, okay, I'm gonna have to wait 20 minutes for them to figure out they're gonna bounce on this pie. Like there were two things I instantly knew. Number one, the treasure was going to be like the value of friendship
Yeah.
or something like that. And number two, they're going to bounce on this fucking pie. And it took them so long to get to both.
I do like later on though when they are using the pie to bounce over the Gorg gate, they do a lot of that storytelling with sound design alone. Because we see Gobo bouncing, we see little like mini Gobo bouncing on the pie to get over the gate. And then the rest of the Fraggles, we just get to hear them bouncing on the pie, which I understand from a filmmaking point of view, much easier. But also really well done and like didn't make me question it at the moment that they like, of course they're bouncing on the pie.
Yeah, totally.
Until Boober falls into the pie.
And the Boober part is pretty cute because he's just like popping up at the bottom and being like, I know I'm too high. I don't want to do this.
Well, and something about the phrase, Boober broke through the pie crust. That was like cellar door to me. That was like the most beautiful words I've ever heard in a phrase.
It does sound nice coming out of your mouth.
Thank you. It was almost
Boober
topped
broke through the
by,
pie crust.
at the end when they get out of the castle, Boober just says, hey, you're back. I got out of the pie.
I did like that part a lot. Yeah, when Boober is a little bit gonzo-y, I always think it's pretty good.
In the Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk, when he is launched by the catapult through the wood, and he just goes, I was the ammunition.
That was That was maybe my favorite part of the whole. Like, it wasn't my favorite episode, but maybe my favorite part of any of the episodes was that line. It was so funny. I thought it was really weird that there wasn't really any songs in the Treasure of the Fraggle.
Yeah, there's only some instrumental songs in that one. We get a moment where when Gobo and Red realize they need their friend's help, they go back and everyone's just rocking out and not listening.
They're
Like
jamming,
Moki's
baby.
playing a horn, Boober's playing washboard, and Wembley's got some bongos that he's rocking out on. And in this moment, I really thought the episode was going to be they go tell them about the treasure and they're like, yeah, who cares? We're playing music. Get out of here. But they do decide, you know what? We're going to help you out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird that there was no. I think in this whole batch, there was a couple times where there was like not a lot of songs or instrumental songs, or on the flip side, songs that came completely out of nowhere.
A lot of songs.
So I felt like this was almost like not the worst music batch in that I dislike the songs, but like the worst music batch we've had so far is like the use of music in episodes.
Yeah. The only one I can remember really is Catch a Tiger by the Tail. I guess the Yucky song too, but
Yeah, when Red and Gobo are just singing about how much the world sucks.
everything goes wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of their songs have that little hint of like, man, stuff sucks.
Yeah, but you gotta keep going anyway, I guess.
Yeah, in the Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk episode, when Red says that like there's only one thing we can do, sing about it, they sing the Feel So Bad song, where Boober is like opens up with the first line saying buckets of woe and gushes of sorrow. And it's basically just a blues song about how terrible they all feel because of Gobo being trapped in the outside world. But at the same time, at the end of the song, they all forget like why they were singing in the first place, and Boober like walks away and then comes back after they're done singing, saying like, "Hey, remember Gobo's trapped, and we should probably do something." And Red says, "Oh yeah, we should all be depressed." And Wembley says, "Singing that sad song made us much too happy."
That part was amazing.
So I think like it's very interesting to see like Fraggle relationship with music, because we also see when Gobo is trapped in Doc's workshop and Doc is making the musical instrument, Gobo can't help but like tap his feet.
Yeah.
It's like involuntary
things are bad,
movement.
but a Fraggle still knows good music when they hear it. His little toes. I usually hate Muppet feet, but they have such cute little feet.
Yeah, it's when he's doing his Metal Gear Solid style flipping around inside a cardboard box.
Yeah.
I guess we had talked about the main lesson in the treasure episode is like, you know, friendship and all that stuff. And we do have that moment right at the end where Red just like says it like, "You're right, Gobo. We are rich." And she like looks around Fraggle Rock and just like looks at all their friends around them. And so that was one where I was like, all right, it's a little on the nose, but
Yeah, that was actually like it ended really nicely too. I think just like the caper was not as good as it could have been.
I did write my notes that the solemn mark of the Fraggle would make a pretty good tattoo.
Yeah, I thought so too. Kind of looked like one of the team symbols from Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And it was a symbol on the music box, which was really cute too.
Yeah, which did seem to have some actual diamonds inlaid into it that the
Something
Fraggles did
like
not care
that.
about.
Yeah, I thought they would sing a song based on the song that they heard too. I feel like that was kind of a wasted.
Yeah, they kind of like la-la'd along with it, and we're just like, this is a nice song.
Nice
But
song.
Didn't really like suddenly have lyrics in their head to it. In the Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk episode, I like the way you worded it earlier, where you said where Moki and Boober just straight up steal the Doozers catapult, because that was not the way I expected that episode to go. I thought they were going to work with the Doozers and ask them like, "Hey, we would like you to help us break our friend Gobo out of outer space." But instead,
And I'm sure they would have said, okay.
yeah. Instead, they just wait till the Doozers go on lunch break, and they're like, "Hey, we can steal that."
They swiped their catapult. What were the Doozers doing with a catapult anyway, though?
They were breaking up the rock.
Oh, okay.
Which,
They weren't
again, I don't
planning
really know
something.
why, because they turn radishes into glass sticks.
Yeah.
I don't know why you need rock involved, but I guess maybe just clear room for more towers.
Yeah, maybe so.
And I think I mentioned it briefly earlier, but the Red and Wembley, when they try to do the magic trick of spilling milk on the ground and then try really hard not to cry over it, there's some very good puppetry in that moment where they're doing their like trying not to cry face. And Wembley is like, I'm starting to tear up.
Yeah. And it is kind of fun, like, that they think that will Like, that seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to expect to be a magic spell, I suppose.
Well, because they trust the trash heap. Like, inherently, they're just like, well, yeah, she wouldn't have lied to us.
Yeah. But, like, taking phrases like that and then making them literal and then using those to do magic, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Muppet Wiki noted that in Catch the Tail by the Tiger, we learned that Fraggles can apparently catch the flu, which, you know, Fraggles catching human diseases. Interesting development in the
Seems
lore.
dangerous, doesn't it?
Maybe that's why they stay underground.
Cross-species. Could be.
Their immune systems are not strong enough.
Yeah, like the War of the Worlds aliens. They tried to invade once long ago, and it didn't go well for them.
The Great Fraggle War.
Yeah. The thing they're drafting is like weapons of mass destruction in the time that they're drafting.
It was the third drafting, like they were drafting people into the Fraggle army.
Oh shit. Yeah. I was thinking drafting like drawing up plans, but yeah maybe you're right.
No, that's when that's what happened to Gobo's parents.
Oh no.
Speaking of, being bad for people and toxic potentially, Doc is trying to get Sprocket to walk out in a spring storm, and he gives him red licorice as a treat. Note for anybody out there, don't give your dogs licorice.
Why?
Well, so if you have actual licorice, which like Twizzlers and Red Vines aren't actual licorice, licorice, very bad for dogs. Red licorice, which is like Twizzlers and stuff, which is what I think he's giving him, it's one of those things that if you give him like one Twizzler, nothing bad's going to happen.
But you shouldn't do it still.
No. It's not advised.
Sounds stupid.
But if you give them too much, the candy, because it's got so much sugar in it, can ruin dogs' teeth. And also, they can have high blood sugar. So don't give your dog candy. Doc?
Well, what if your dog's a Muppet, though? Then he can probably eat as much candy as he wants.
This does seem like a pretty smart dog. Like, I feel like he is like, the next time Doc offers one, he's like, no. I've had too many today.
Yes. I keep up to date on the medical journals of the dog medical journals.
Another point of proof from my Fraggle Army war theory, when Wembley sees Sprocket wearing the lightning deflector in this episode that Doc invented, Wembley is immediately terrified that Sprocket is dressed for battle.
Right, because they have this traditional memory of war.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Maybe it's flashbacks to his childhood, like when all these Fraggles were babies was the last time there was a war.
Yeah, and the world's oldest Fraggle, he's coming up with all these rules to keep him kind of like chilled out because he knows that the Fraggles get too whipped up. He's seen what happens.
We're really cracking it open here.
I think this kind of makes sense.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of things in the future to dispute a lot of this things we're saying, but for now...
You mean that Fraggles are murderous?
We don't know that they actually, killed anyone. They could have lost the war horribly.
That's true. Yeah.
They stood no chance. They decided to rebel against humans, and humans were like, have you met us? This is not going to go well for you.
You're 2 foot tall, and you got little catapults. What are you trying to do here?
Yeah, I'm going to step on a doozer, okay? Done. Check. There is a weird moment in that episode that I was trying to understand sort of what they were getting at. When Gobo is going to go out there to get the postcard, as he always does, Wembley is scared, and so he grabs Gobo's hand to stop him from going out.
Yeah.
And there's a weird pause where Red and Gobo and Wembley all sort of look down and then look at each other like, oh, sorry, that was weird.
I mean, the subtext seems to be Gobo's like, never fucking touch me.
Yeah, like you can't look Gobo in the eye, and you can't touch him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very weird pause that like didn't go anywhere, and they don't reference it, but it was just a little bizarre where I was like, why did that happen?
I thought that was super weird too. Maybe it's a Canadian thing.
Yeah, you can't touch Canadians. When Gobo's worried about Uncle Traveling Matt not sending postcards and that, Red refers to Uncle Traveling Matt as a Fraggle too cheap to buy stamps, which I don't understand how that could be true. How are these postcards getting to Doc's?
That's true.
If he's off in San Francisco and Gobo's getting a postcard from that, Uncle Traveling Matt's not coming all the way back to Doc's workshop and dropping that in the mail slot.
Drop that off. No. Maybe he's steaming stamps off of other letters, Like,
that was his second postcard ever, was like, just so you know, I'm stealing all of this postage.
He's breaking in the mailbox. He can just shimmy into a mailbox, and just rip one off and put it on. I liked in that one, too, the little bit of background that the trash heap knows Matt.
Yeah, Marjorie knows Uncle Traveling Matt.
Yeah.
and it's like they were old friends. She's like, "Oh, you're Matt Fraggle's nephew."
Yeah. She doesn't remember anybody, but she remembers him.
Yeah, they don't remember Gobo. And she's like, "Oh, your uncle's cool though. We used to party back in the '60s."
Yeah, and she told him to go on his adventures, but she don't think Gobo should go.
No.
She can tell Gobo can't hack it out there.
Oh, we didn't mention this yet. For some reason that I couldn't catch in the middle of this episode, Gobo suddenly doesn't have a sweater on.
And he's just got like rolled up, like he'd have a cigarette rolled up in his t-shirt sleeve or something. I thought that was very strange too.
It seems to be possibly a different Gobo puppet. Like, I think his hair and his face even looks slightly different. But he's wearing his normal, like, maroon cardigan that he's been wearing all these episodes. And he goes to walk out to go find Uncle Traveling Matt, or I guess go talk to the trash heap first before going to do that. And when he walks out, it cuts to him walking down the cave, like a second later, suddenly no cardigan, rolled up sleeves of his yellow and red shirt, and he just has his bare arms out and like looks a little younger, I think, like in that.
Yeah.
I almost thought it was gonna be like a flashback or something. Or like he was imagining himself as a kid.
I had the same thought too. Yeah.
Like I thought maybe this was him like seeing his inner child like being afraid or something, and I couldn't really figure it out. But then he just continues to wear that outfit for the rest of the episode.
Until they put the
costume on him, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe, because I couldn't remember what the transition was. Like he walks back in and they put the costume on him.
Yes.
Maybe he just had to have the vest not, or like his whatever not be on.
I understand that, but they do so many other things to hide clever cuts and clever puppet switching in this show that I feel like they easily could have had a shot where like Boober goes to take off his sweater before they put his costume on him, and then they cut to this version of Gobo without the sweater on. It's very strange to me that he just suddenly isn't wearing his sweater for the rest of the episode and has the rolled up sleeves. That seems weirder because we know in the next episodes we watch, Gobo will have his vest, and that shirt is a long sleeve shirt. Have you ever tried to roll a long sleeve shirt all the way up to your shoulders? That's not really going to work out too well.
It would be very tight.
No circulation.
Yeah, that was really weird. He looked cool though.
I mean, yeah, he was a little bit tougher. Maybe that was the whole thing. He's like,
yeah, maybe he was like, I got to see my muscles.
Tough guys don't wear cardigans. Tough guys roll up cigarettes into their sleeves of their t-shirts and have knife fights.
That would have been funny if like an older Fraggle had been like, tough guys don't wear cardigans.
Ditch the cardigan, loser.
Yeah. Or even Red was like, first of all, we gotta lose. But she wears a turtleneck, so she's not one to talk.
But no pants. That's a cool combo.
That's true. That's a good
Somebody's walking around in a turtleneck with no pants. I'm not going to judge them too harshly.
Yeah.
Uncle Traveling Matt is also seen in a different outfit in this one for no real reason. When we cut out to him, he's seeing the giant shiny creatures, which are cars, which communicate through honks. But he's wearing a polo and no pith helmet.
He just doesn't have his adventure outfit on.
He's like on a day off when he like accidentally runs into some cars.
Yeah, I thought it would be like the story of how he found his hat or something. But I guess he had his hat in the beginning, didn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing is like the lore of like when was Uncle Traveling Matt's first postcard, and like because Gobo references that later when he's like saying he's like, this is the first postcard I ever got from Uncle Traveling Matt, and it says if I ever don't send postcards, come find me.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh well, wait a minute, didn't we see Uncle Traveling Matt's first postcard? And no, we don't actually. In the first episode, we have an Uncle Traveling Matt segment, but it's not in a postcard segment. It's before, because that whole episode is Gobo getting the bravery to go get the postcard. And he gets the postcard at the very end of that episode, but we don't see him read it, I don't think.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Presumably, that is the postcard from the very first episode that we don't see him read.
Huh. I thought the ceremony of them saying goodbye to him, that was like maybe my favorite scene of any of the Fraggle Rock episodes so far. It just feels like something that they do to all the Fraggles who leave. And I love like the ceremonial outfit, and the song was really good.
Yeah, it's a very like sad, melancholy song called "Now's the Time for Parting," and they're just like very accepting of like, yeah, our friends got to go do this dangerous thing, but we respect it.
But the other song too, the "Rollin' On" song, that was also good. Like.
Yeah, that's when they're first
ceremony.
decorating and like they throw the surprise party for him and they give him his goggles and all that.
Yeah, and then they all say goodbye, Gobo.
A little echoey, weird.
So
like,
long, Gobo.
Yeah, and like a come play with us, Danny. kind of way.
Well, yeah. It just feels like it just did a good job of feeling like the thing that they do every time a Fraggle leaves.
Well, I think this is, again, such a good, subtle lesson here because
Mhm.
when Gobo admits that he's scared, his friends say, well, why go if you're scared? And he says, because you guys expect me to.
Yeah.
And so it's very clear that he's admitting that not only was he scared, but the reason he felt compelled to go is because he thought these friends had this expectation of him that it turns out they didn't actually have. And so they're like, you don't have to go. That's fine. We don't care.
That does have the side effect of making it seem like they're just like, yeah, fuck your uncle.
I guess. But if if a friend of mine wasn't super concerned about their family member,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, well, why aren't you concerned about your family member? I'm going to
That's
assume
true.
that they have more knowledge than I do, maybe, and go like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you're just going to trust that Uncle Charlie Matt's probably fine. That's cool.
I do feel like we've seen maybe in the Terrible Tunnel episode when a Fraggle dies or is assumed dead, the other Fraggles are kind of just like, well,
Yeah, they did
He
shrug
kind of-
off and just walk away.
yeah, he kind of brought that upon himself by having any kind of ambition or trying anything dangerous.
But let's talk real quickly about Marlin Fraggle.
I'd love to talk about Marlin.
He's a Peter Lorre inspired Fraggle who looks he looks more like a Frackle than a Fraggle, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe he's the love child of a Frackle
Or
or a
he's
Fraggle.
he's a Frackle pretending to be a Fraggle. And he's
Yeah.
very worried all the
They'll
time. that
never
he will
catch
be-
me.
He'll be yeah. He's kind of Uncle Deadly-ish a little bit.
Yeah, but he's also a jerk. So it's interesting to see like sort of that energy coming out of
Yeah.
a Fraggle, especially.
Yeah.
Because like he's very self-centered. He wants his own thing. As they say in this episode, he's been trying to form a cult for a long time, and nobody wants to join.
Yeah. He's such a fucking weird character for them to introduce.
And
And
this
he
isn't-
does not even really have a point in this episode.
He's gonna come back later, Sam.
a lot. It looks like
Yeah.
he's in a lot of episodes.
We see Marlin like 5 or 6 more times in Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Which it's almost creepier to me that he's not in every episode going forward, because that just
Uh-huh.
means he's always somewhere in the background
He's
looming.
always plotting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess when you think of like the what's his Convincing John,
Mhm.
like he's pretty sinister too. So I guess there is like a sinister edge just bubbling right below the surface of all Fraggles. Because I suppose being being lazy and being opportunistic, maybe there is a pretty thin line there, I suppose. But I just couldn't. Every time he'd be on screen, I just couldn't believe that he even existed. He's got like the little dicky and like the bow
Yeah.
tie. It's like, who are you?
It just seems like one of those things that
Who
like a
built
puppet.
this puppet? And they were like, look at this, and everybody's like, what the fuck? Okay, let's put him in every episode.
Yeah, nice first draft there. Let's try again, okay? It's like, no, this is the winner. I think this is gonna be our Fraggle forever.
This is our evil Fraggle, the only evil Fraggle.
Yeah, notably, a lot of other Fraggle characters or Muppet characters on Muppet Wiki will have credits for who designed and built that puppet. Marlin Fraggle apparently just was spontaneously created.
Yeah,
because
maybe they just walked in one day and found him.
nobody wants to take credit for Marlin Fraggle.
Yeah. At the end of the episode, everybody was like, great job playing Marlin Fraggle, Steve. And he's like, I didn't. That wasn't me. What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Wembley,
Marlin.
did you notice Wembley was also in that scene? Like, I was never
Yeah.
Marlin. They're like, wait, who? No one was Marlin.
And then they just hear little feet going.
At the beginning of the Finger of Light episode, we also get to hear Gobo's voice come out of Boober at
I
the end of
hated
the theme
that.
song.
That was worse to me than the other one.
Yeah, because the other one sounded almost like it could have been Boober doing a voice. This is
Yeah.
so clearly Gobo.
Did they just lose the footage of the other one, or
I
what?
believe it was a choice at certain
Huh.
points. They decided to, because they had to change the intro multiple times. Sometimes for certain releases, they cut out the little part where it says featuring Jim Henson's Muppets because they were like, we don't own them. We can't say Jim and we can't say Muppet. And so they've changed these things so many times that it might be a thing of like the best version recording we have of this is with Boober and not with Gobo. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I put in my notes that the Yucky song, again, that Red and Gobo sing about life sucks, it felt like an Emmett Otter song to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way it was written just had that sort of like bouncy, folksy energy that I was like,
Yeah.
did Paul Williams step in on this one? And he didn't, but just kind of had that vibe.
Yeah, I think Fraggle Rock in general brings back a lot of the good vibes of Emmett Otter.
Yeah.
Muppets work when they're real folksy.
Well then, Sam, that means it is time for our Muppet of the Week. This week's Muppet of the Week is Wembley Fraggle. Wembley is the yellowish-green Fraggle who wears a button-up shirt that has banana trees all over it, of which he apparently owns 2 matching ones.
And nothing else.
We've talked about how he feels to us like the youngest Fraggle, and Muppet Wiki seems to confirm that he is the youngest Fraggle, so I'm assuming we learned that at some point, maybe, or somebody references that he's the youngest of them. We have not actually heard that yet mentioned in an episode, but if Muppet Wiki says it, it must come from somewhere. Wembley's main characteristic is that he wembles, meaning that he can never decide what he wants to do, or how he wants to do it, or when he's going to do it. And so he often just ends up doing whatever the nearest person suggests to him most recently. He obviously debuted in 1983 with all the other Fraggles, and as we mentioned multiple times, he was performed by Steve Whitmire from 1983 all the way through 2012. Steve Whitmire was in charge of puppeteering Wembley. Wembley didn't have a lot to do in that big chunk of time, but Steve performed Wembley all through Fraggle Rock and at Jim Henson's memorial. Then Wembley didn't do anything for 22 years. And then in 2012, Steve Whitmire would perform Wembley at the Jim Henson's Musical World concert at Carnegie Hall, which I'm extremely curious about, and we might be able to ask our guest next week about because he wrote it. But it is a concert they did in 2012 with Fraggles, Muppets, and Sesame Street characters all together. I unfortunately have not been able to find a full recording of that show.
2012?
Yeah.
Wow.
Long after Disney already bought the Muppets. There was a one-off performance by puppeteer Patrick Johnson. He performed Wembley in the Do It Anyway, Ben's Fold 5 music video. Notably, Wembley doesn't talk at all in that. It's just movement. So I'm guessing they were just like, yeah, we don't really need Steve for this one. Then in 2016, Wembley appeared at a Puppets for Puppetry charity event for the Center for Puppetry Arts, at which Kevin Clash was the performer for Wembley. Then in 2020, they did these shorts on Apple TV Plus called Fraggle Rock Rock On. And in those, John Tartaglia puppeteered Wembley, and Frankie Cordero did the voice of Wembley. But now, in the new series, Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock, Jordan Lockhart is the performer of Wembley. So Wembley has had a bunch of different performers, including the animated series, which again, I'm going to bring up every time because it's always interesting to me to see who voiced these characters because they didn't ask the original puppeteers to come back at all. It seemed like there was very little involvement from the actual Fraggle Rock team in that show. So I'm excited to watch it at some point.
Did it run concurrently? No, it didn't.
No, it was after, sort of trying to capitalize on all of that. But I think it ran at the same time as Muppet Babies did. But the voice of Wembley in the animated series was Bob Bergen, who is currently, and has been since the 90s, Porky Pig and Tweety Bird. And, notably, in the short-lived Little Muppet Monsters TV show, he was the voice of Link Hogthrob and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew in the animated sections of that. Another very strange show I can't wait to watch.
Me either. I'm excited about that weird thing.
As far as family goes, I didn't see any information about Wembley's family. I don't know if we get it referenced at all eventually, but as of right now, as far as I know, no family for Wembley. But I did learn that he is allergic to laundry lint, cave cotton, rock dust, and bonkleberries, which we will find out later on. And Michael Frith was quoted talking about Wembley's character. Basically, he exists because of a line in The Great Muppet Caper. At one point in there, Charles Grodin's character, Nikki Holliday, tells his sister no, and when she expresses her desire to lock her diamond necklace away in a safe. And when he is called out, he says, yes, I meant yes. Why would I say no when I meant yes? And Michael Frith was like, yeah, that's a character.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Charles Grodin invented Wembley.
Sure. Wembley is named after Wembley Stadium. It didn't say why, but he is.
It's a fun word.
Yeah. And Wembley, as we've noted in the past, also has the ability to roll his eyes, unlike other Fraggles. Apparently, this is a feature where they built a mechanized head of Wembley that had the ability to like remotely roll its eyes. And so what they would do is they would like add a cut in where they would swap out the regular head of the normal puppet with a radio controlled one just for the scenes where he needed to roll his eyes.
I feel like he never needs to roll his eyes.
I mean, it's a nice little
okay.
touch.
Yeah. Sometimes I think he's the one who's least likely to have to ever roll his eyes of any Fraggle.
Yes, he seems maybe not like passive aggressive or smart enough to know when rolling his eyes would be appropriate. And last little note here about Wembley. Raleigh Cruson, who built many Muppets, but most notably for right now, built Wembley, put a ping pong ball in his nose. That's why he's got that little bump inside of his nose, because he's got a ping pong ball in there. And the ball has a hole in it, so the puppeteer can like put their finger in there and wiggle the nose separately from the mouth. So, Sam, what you gonna rate Wembley Fraggle?
Gosh. He's cute.
Very cute.
I gotta hand that to him. I don't know. I don't feel super strongly about Wembley, but I don't dislike him. I'll give him a 7.5.
All right. I like Wembley a lot. I feel like he's one of the more interesting Fraggles. Not that they're not all interesting, but I think as of right now, I find him a bit more interesting than Red. And so I gave Red an 8. So I'm going to give Wembley an 8.5.
Okay. I don't remember what I gave Red. I like Red better, though.
I think you gave Red also maybe a 7.5. I don't remember.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? This
I mean,
is really important stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, heck, you forgot to rate these episodes this time, Sam.
I actually had it all written down.
Oh.
Here they are. Lost Treasure of the Fraggles, 1.5 stars out of 4. Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk, 2 stars. Catch the Tail by the Tiger, 4 stars. And The Finger of Light, 4 stars. There you go, Matt.
That's those are all over that spectrum, the far ends of it. All right, Sam, before we get out of here, gotta ask you, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
I have genuinely been trying to think of something interesting.
Yeah.
I had a
Doesn't
busy
have
week,
to
so
be
I didn't
interesting.
watch
It can be
a lot of
boring.
stuff. That's true. So we've watched all of Gilmore Girls up to A Year in the Life, and we watched those up through Summer, which is the third one. I don't think it's very good.
No,
but-
Year in the Life is rough. Like, it's enjoyable and like, hey, it's my old friends. But it's kind of like you go to a high school reunion and you're like, oh, this is why we haven't talked in 10 years.
I think it has its moments. I think Luke is good still. I feel like Rory forgot how to be Rory a little bit. Alexis Bledel maybe did a little bit, or like the writers just forgot. I'll keep watching it and thinking like, how does this feel so old and Miss Maisel feels so fresh and young? And it's just like, why is this so stodgy? And I can't quite figure it out.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing where like the creator comes back who did not make the last season of the show and comes back and is like, yeah, I didn't really see that last season, so I'm going to write this new thing. But also, very clearly, she watched the last season because some of those storylines wouldn't make sense had the last season not existed.
But that's when Logan and Rory break up, right? In the last season?
Well, and with Luke and Lorelai, too. Like, that whole thing happens. And it's like, okay. You clearly did watch it, at least, and you had to work off of it. But something about that just is off.
And actually, when April shows up, I don't even hate April that much, but when she shows up, I was kind of like, this kind of actually feels more like Gilmore Girls than like her scene when they're having dinner, and then she's freaking out about growing up is like, okay, this feels good. Some of the scenes with the townspeople feel pretty good, like they're fun. I just think like the Gilmore Girls themselves feel a little off, but Grandma's story is great.
Yeah, no, she's great.
I love her.
I think like it almost feels like Lorelai and Rory are dropped into the TV show Gilmore Girls, and everyone else is like Truman Show level committed to their roles, and they're the ones who are like a little off and different than they normally are.
Yeah, but I think in Summer, I think in the Summer one, which is the third movie, by that one I was like, oh, okay, Rory back in Stars Hollow working at the newspaper, she's kind of feeling like herself again. And Lorelai actually in this one's pretty good too. So I like that one, and I'm interested to see the last one, but we haven't watched it yet. Also, I curse your name every day for telling me about Vampire Survivor.
You're still playing it?
I still play it.
Yeah.
I don't really like look at Twitter on my phone or anything like that anymore. So the main thing I do is when I'm bored is just like, all right, time to play Vampire Survivor.
So really, I'm helping keep you off Twitter, so I feel like you should be thanking me.
That's actually accurate, yeah. Okay, I uncurse your name.
Yay!
How about you? What have you been watching?
Actually, I haven't been watching much. We actually just finished the last episode of Kim's Convenience.
Oh, yeah. That's a good little show. Huh?
Yeah. Foreshadowing to potentially a future commitment guest. But besides that, this week, I guess this year, going into 2023, I've sort of made it one of my resolutions that I need to get through my back catalog of video games that are installed
that's a
on my
good
Switch and my PS5 that are just sitting there that I either played once and stopped or just have never opened. And
Wow.
so the first one of those that I tackled was Return of the Obra Dinn, because that is a game that a lot of people were talking about like a year or two ago, saying it was like their favorite game of the year. And I picked it up and I felt too stupid to finish it because it's like,
the ghost ship one.
yes, you have to like go onto a ship
Right.
and solve the crimes, and you have to basically figure out how everyone on this ship died or didn't die or where they're at now, kind of thing, just through watching flashbacks essentially. And a lot of it is like process of elimination of like, okay, well, I think that guy is, the ship's steward because he's doing this thing in that one flashback. So that must be the steward. And like some things it's like, okay, so there's like one Swedish guy on the list, and I heard a guy with a Swedish accent. So that must be him. And so you have to like listen for clues, look at things. And like the first time I went into it, I think I just wasn't prepared for it. And I put it down after playing for like 4 hours. And then this time, I beat it in like 5 hours.
Wow.
So I played it over a few days, but very good game. Very nice to actually have that one again. I beat it, delete it. That's my process. Immediately off the Switch.
Beat it, and delete it. I like that.
Yeah.
That should be a podcast, huh?
We don't need another podcast, Sam.
Okay. Well, just think about it.
All right, we are
Because I should do the same thing.
It's a nice,
I have
it's
so
a nice
many.
like cleansing thing. There's like games on my systems that I'm like, I want to delete this, but
Yeah.
I haven't beat it, or I want to try it at least again to see if I like it enough to keep it around and try to finish it. Mass Effect, that's the one. I bought Mass Effect, the whole trilogy collection. I started the first one, I was like, this is too much, and I walked away
Yeah.
from it. But maybe I'll
Yeah.
like it. Who knows?
I bought all of XCOM, XCOM?
Yeah.
And I haven't even touched it.
Yeah. That's how I am with
That's one I should
many,
try.
many games that I'm just like, I need to finish these and check them off the list. But also, I like, other things other than playing video games sometimes,
Yeah.
like watching movies and reading books. So
Yeah.
how do you find time for all those things?
You play video games for 12 hours one day every 3 months. That's what I do.
Oh, wow. Maybe that's what my holiday tomorrow will be.
But you have to make the friends.
Ah, you're right, Sam. Sorry, Lego Star Wars. Well, before we go, we need to let you know what we'll be watching next time, which is nothing. Next week, we're not watching anything. We're not reading anything. We are not watching or consuming any Muppet media for next week's podcast, because next week we will be joined by the president of the Jim Henson Legacy, the author of the often referenced Muppets Character Encyclopedia, and the author of the recently released book, Sam and Friends, the story of Jim Henson's first television show. That's right. We'll be talking with Mr. Craig Shemin. And because Craig has worked on many Henson projects over the years and has also written for things like The Wubulous World of Dr. Seuss, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Gullah Gullah Island, we're going to have a lot to talk to him about. So we are just going to have a conversation with Craig Shemin next week, mostly obviously about Muppets, but Courage the Cowardly Dog might come up. But we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. If you're looking for a commitment enamel pin or information on how to join our Patreon, or just you want to see our pretty faces, go over to commitment.com to see what we looked like this past summer when we had professional headshots taken. If you want to get a hold of us somewhere other than Twitter or Instagram, you can email us at mail@commitment.com or the contact form on our website. You can also follow this podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr @commitmentpod. You can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.